Okay, so the Town of Groton, Planning and Zoning Commission, Conservation Commission, and Economic Development Commission special joint meeting is called to order. I'm gonna go through a roll call for planning and zoning. Hal, are you on? Okay, Michael? Steve? Kevin?
I think it's just you right now, so.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I guess, okay, it's just me. So, anyway, so to start this, new business, I guess the first thing is Community Engagement Initiative, and, that's a summary of commission interviews. I don't know, staff, did you want to take it here at this point?
Yeah, very quickly. Thanks for coming, everybody. So tonight, our guest from Horsley Whitner here to talk about Project One, a focus we've been doing on community engagement and outreach, a little bit of an overview on the results of that project, and then diving into some of the stuff on our plan of conservation and development to get some feedback from all of you. We're going to break out into some groups and go through some of the chapters. Jeff will get into the details of that. So just wanted to say thanks, everybody, for participating and coming tonight. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jeff.
And you can go
Let me
ahead.
see if I can share a screen. Our screen.
Share.
Share again.
Okay. Now,
See if I can minimize.
Minimize that. And you can minimize the picture too. Of all of us. And then move it all down.
All right.
and
then
I'm
that'll-
looking for full screen. Although, can everyone see this? I think that's it. Is this good?
Oh, there we go. All right.
Okay,
So
good.
as John said, and my colleague Krista here is going to give a brief update on some of the results of the conversations we had with Conservation Commission, EDC, and the PZC related to community engagement. We'll spend the bulk of this meeting, and honestly, with just 7 of you here, unless some people show up in the next 5 minutes, we may just do one group.
Sure.
May make more sense than splitting up. But the primary focus of this evening, after Krista's presentation, is to go over the draft policies for the plan of conservation and development. So we have draft policies for all 6 chapters, all the different sections. Want to get your feedback as the PCC continues to build that plan. So with that, I will turn it over to.
And will I advance my own slides?
If you could tell me next, I can do them.
Next, please. So I'm just going to provide a brief overview of the strengthening community engagement in Groton. So a reminder of those goals were to understand, provide meaningful engagement through the planning, the Office of Planning and Development, all demographics across the community, ensure that build greater capacity for delivering those services to everyone, and to try to overcome some traditional barriers to participation. Next slide, please. So we interviewed the office's commission. So all of you, the PCC, the EDC, and the CONCOM. So we talked about, and I think I was participated in the EDC and the CONCOM meetings. So if you recall, we talked about how members of the public found out information about your commission, who participates, how often, how they participate, who are you not hearing from, and then sort of talking about what we kind of thought were the biggest barriers to participation from the public. Slide, please. So some of the key takeaways, so some common experience. So who serves on the board, very similar demographic across all 3 boards. Pardon me, but somewhat older crowd. And also who is participating in the board. So generally a similar group. Some of the barriers to participation in, fun. Some of the barriers to, we looked at participation in the board itself or the commission itself, but also to your meetings. So some of the things that we talked about is the timing of meetings or the time commitment. And some of you are retired or many of you are retired, have that capacity to participate. So some of the challenges is having that availability for perhaps people who are not retired. So who are you hearing from? So you primarily hear when the public comes, might be just topic specific or very little interest, or it might be more focused on a development or a project that's on your agenda. And there was some discussions among all the groups, is that apathy for minimum participation, or is it just unaware? Is there awareness of the community? So trying to resolve some of those issues. So we talked about getting public information. So a lot of folks get information from the town website. Many of the commissions have their own page and you offer a lot of information there. The Explore More Groton website, the Agenda Suite, which has all your agendas and your minutes and all of that are available. So opportunities for participation. So the general public meetings are virtual and in person, or hybrid as they are this evening. You get written comments, you get emails. And so how does the public stay informed, or how do you stay informed about what's going on in the town? You have your neighbors, you all have your networks. You use traditional media, meeting with other boards and commissions, similar to tonight. I think there was a lot of positiveness that came out of these types of meetings where you all meet together, and there was definitely some interest in to have those opportunities. And then the neighborhood apps like Nextdoor, what have you. Next slide, please. So some of the short-term recommendations, so trying to increase awareness of the commissions to the community. So improving information on the town's website, making sure that's navigable and accessible. I think some commissions have more information than others, so trying to make sure that it's on there and you're having it current. So working with town staff to sort of put together different types of information. There was interest in doing some of that, whether it's videos or other sorts of media. And then hosting community conversations on relevant topics related to your commissions. And some of you already do that, but is there a way to sort of set something that's more consistent, that sort of build more awareness around it? And then improving communications and community connections. So again, how you all communicate across each other, strengthening the partnerships that you have with organizations in the community that have similar goals and objectives. And then meeting people where they're at. A lot of you committees already do that. You go out, you do door to door, you host events at the conservation spaces. So trying to organize those and continue to do those, and then sort of introducing yourself to the community. Next slide, please. Some long-term recommendations. So thinking about greater diversity on the commissions and the boards. So one of the steps are to evaluate the current demographics of all the boards and committees and commissions for the town, and what does that look like, and what does diversity look like, and how would you like to move forward with that? Promoting transparency on sharing those results, creating a group that will set goals for how you would like the makeup of the commissions to look like. And then identifying strategies and implementing them to recruit and to make sure that you have more representation from those that aren't present. And then on the civic engagement side, doing more education to the public and about ways how they can participate more in local government, how you got to be on this board, so how do you in turn increase others to also participate? And then raise awareness of the younger generation and civics, and sort of increasing that desire to participate in local government and a seat where you are. I think that's my last slide. Yep. And so thank you for that, and I'll turn it back over to Jeff.
Does staff have anything else to add before we move on?
No, just, thanks. I know, when we had those meetings talking about outreach, how you interact with the public. As you know, we've been trying a lot of things over the past few years of how do we get back or out into the community more, hear a more variety of voices. We're a community of almost 39,000, but it's always kind of the small same group of people that we hear from unless there's something proposed in somebody's neighborhood that they don't care for or they're concerned about, then we'll hear from a whole host of new people. So how do we hear from people when they're not angry about something, but as opposed to getting some positive feedback about, a lot of the good things that we are working on. So we're trying to get a little more creative and anything that all of you, we know you're doing a lot already on that front. So I don't want to minimize what you're doing, but we're always trying to do a little better. So thanks. All right.
And we're now up to 10 and a half people, so that's exciting. Thank you, David. Little guy. So I think we're probably good to split into a couple of groups. Next slide, please. So just a quick rundown on how this evening will run. We had initially thought that we'd split into 3 groups, but again, I think with 10, splitting into 2 makes the most sense. It looks like we have several yellow name tags that are missing this evening, so we may have to ask a red person to move to the yellow table, but we'll try to get an even number of you. And we'll have half you here, half you here, and basically you will stay where you are. And myself and Krista will be taking turns talking about this table. We'll talk about chapters 4 through 6 as a start. We'll talk about 1 through 3 here, and then we'll switch. So I will come to this table and we'll continue talking and see what your colleagues had to say about the chapters that they had discussed prior to you. We're looking at about half an hour per conversation. So about 10 minutes per chapter. So this will keep moving, but we'll try to get you out of here right at 6:30. Next slide. So what we're asking you to do this evening, we'll read through each of the policies for each of the chapters on a board. And so you don't get too settled in your seats. We've got sticky stickers in front of you and sticky notes. And what we're gonna ask you to do is put a sticker if you support a policy, if you support it with changes, or if you don't support a policy. And then we'd love for you to write down on the sticky notes any comment you may have. So like, I support this, but I think you need to make this change to it. Likewise, if you see anything that's missing, we'd love for you to write that down on a sticky note and say, I think it's really important that we have a policy that addresses X so that we can capture that. So we'll have a conversation around that chapter. About 10 minutes, we'll switch to the next one. Next slide, please.
And each policy has an example strategy for reference, but we're not discussing strategies. There's a whole bunch of strategies we have.
Yep. And I'll talk a bit more about the role of those policies and strategies in the plan. So in terms of moving forward, what everyone can expect very soon, town staff is currently reviewing summary documents for all 6 chapters, as well as the plan introduction. And very soon they'll be releasing those chapter summaries to the public for review. So it's sort of a sneak preview of what the public is going to see very soon. And each of those chapter summaries includes what are the key points that are going to be part of that chapter, a summary of what we've heard from the public, from surveys, from the meetings, and so forth. And the third thing, which was a new thing, which we've used in some communities before, called how we go about doing things. So these are ongoing strategies, things that the town is already doing or will continue to do throughout the 10 years of the plan. So it's not necessarily something that you can look on a matrix and say, oh yes, strategy 1A, we did that. But there's still important things that the town is doing that you want to acknowledge and keep doing. So each chapter will have some of those, how we go about doing things. We'll also list what types of maps and graphics people can expect from that chapter. And then very importantly, it'll be a list of all draft policies associated with the chapter. So all 6 chapters will be released. People can review that all at once. The PCC, of course, is going to be continuing to review that incrementally throughout the course of this fall. Every chapter also has at least one spotlight on resiliency, trying to weave resiliency throughout the plan, so that we call out where those connections with resilience are and climate change. And this won't necessarily be on the documents themselves, but over the course of the fall, we'll look at questions that we may want to ask the public, things that there are still, gosh, how would the public feel about this one? And do we want to take the pulse of the public on any specific issues over the course of the fall as we refine the policies and strategies? So we'll have a series of micro surveys throughout the fall. Next slide. So I wanted to give you a sense of, in the final plan, what are the roles of the vision, the goals, the policies, the strategies. So there is an overarching draft vision for the plan. There's a goal statement for each chapter, as well as 3 overarching goal statements. And those, along with the policies, which we're going to review tonight, are really your guide stars. So we do not see those changing in the next 10 years. These are things that are going to remain constant over the course of the plan. Strategies, however, are in many ways really just examples of the types of things that you will be doing over the next 10 years to implement your vision. And from the beginning of this process, when we responded to the RFP and interviewed, it was very clear, our clear direction from the town, from the PZC, was that you wanted a document that was more concise, and that had a limited number of strategies. You didn't want to overwhelm the document with strategies. Of course, that doesn't mean that if there's not a specific plan, that's not going to happen. The whole point is that this whole other structure down to the policies is really what's guiding your decisions. Because we really acknowledge, and staff and our team have had a lot of conversations about this. We expect there to be flexibility in the strategies, because we don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now, that might change specific strategies or your approach to them. So we want to give you a plan that can evolve over the course of the 10 years. And so what we have done, we started out with probably a lot more strategies and policies than the plan actually needed, and working with staff and PCC to get it down to something more manageable that you can accomplish in the 10 years, but that still covers all the state requirements. Next slide. So one thing I do want to let you know, because we do see the strategies as being more flexible and something that might evolve over the course of the 10 years, we've built into the plan, you'll see this in chapter 6, an implementation section, where we lay out twice a year, PCC should host a meeting dedicated to tracking progress on the POCD. And attendees could change depending on what the topics are, but essentially there will be champions identified every strategy in the plan, and those champions are the ones that are going to be responsible for making sure that progress is made over the course of the year. So the PZC will work with all of those champions, again, at least once a year, put out a report explaining what we've accomplished, what we haven't accomplished, anything that's maybe inconsistent, any needs for changes in the coming year, or recommendations for amendments. We want to build in the process to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable for implementation, and that we have a mechanism for making changes as needed. And really, the PCC any year can consider amendments based on changing needs or local or national conditions. So with that, I think we're right on time in terms of, yep, we've got ourselves an hour, which is perfect, exactly what we had hoped for. Let me do a little head count. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, good. We've got 5 reds and 5 yellows or no color.
So Bray is he's yellow.
Oh, you got it.
Great, thanks, Steph. Super. And Lauren will be joining us in any momentarily.
But hopefully, yeah,
Okay,
by 5:30, I think.
fantastic. Any questions before we split?
So, question and a point of order. The record should show that we have quorum for the Conservation Commission.
Yep.
You got that?
Okay.
And a quorum for the EDC.
And mentioned champions
Yes,
in quotes.
yes.
So, where are those sourced from? What's the selection process? And do you have any duties?
So basically, once every time we have a conversation with the PZC about, okay, are these a reasonable set of strategies? Once we start putting these into chapter formats, one of the next steps will be assigning priority, assigning timeframe, and assigning champions. And so some of them will be pretty logical. Yes, clearly, OPS staff is in charge of this one. PZC is in charge of this one. There may be some instances where there's some debate. That will actually be the last monthly meeting of the PZC. Our January meeting will be dedicated to identifying those champions.
Who decides what the EDC is a champion of?
No one will be listed as a champion unless you agree to be listed as a champion. So there may be some ideas about that. We say, hey, we think you'd be great for this one. Are you willing to do this? And you may come back and say, no, we have no interest in doing that. We have no passion for that. And if we do not have a champion identified, it's not going to be in the plan. So no one's going to assign you to something and then you say, wait, but no, like we all have to agree, like, yeah, this makes sense and we can do that. And likewise for the Conservation Commission, if there are things that you're really excited to do, don't see there, talk about that. And if there are things you're like, we're not going to be able to accomplish that in the next 10 years, we're not willing to take that on. We don't do it, or we find another champion, right? But we're not going to put anything on that list that people. All right.
Let's break.
Let's break. So I'm just gonna read, unless anyone has a preference, let's say red here and yellow here.
Bring your name tag with you.
We'll edit it out.
Getting up and down.
All people are gonna see is this.
Got it.
Screen, so piece of the document that we're gonna be looking at. We have it on the board. Yeah, I know, it's like, I'm just sitting a little far, might be hard to see. I will go make trouble. But thank you, appreciate
Yeah.
it. My computer is dead, otherwise it would have done it.
Oh, okay.
So you all had your homework. I had the listing of it. This is tiny. But so what we're gonna do is,
Because if you go up to for it.
Yep. so I'm just gonna bring it up so you all can, I can read it aloud and remind you all what you had, and we're gonna, you all have dots in front of you, and if you do not have dots,
It is, we'll actually end up, yeah.
have dots and.
Thinking again so much. We're just
Yeah.
letting it.
Nope, okay, I will follow up.
Oh, I see.
I'll get some for you.
And then the hope is this.
So you'll put a dot on, you support this idea. I support this idea, but it might have some changes, or you might have questions, you want clarifications, or you straight out, I do not support it. And then if it's the sticky note, so if we are gonna do, I support with changes, or I do not support, we'd like clarification, because maybe there's some editorial to perhaps bring you to support it, or just to understand why. And similarly, like, what would you need to change in order to make it something that you would support? And then if there is anything missing, we could put those there. And if you even had additional comments, always appreciate the feedback. So this is chapter 4. So this is focused on transportation. So the first policy is increase and connect on modes of transportation. So an example strategy would be develop an access management plan for key corridors such as 1 and 12, and develop recommendations such as consolidating driveways, limiting curb cuts, controlling left turn access to reduce conflict points and safety.
So a clarification
Yep.
from what John was saying, we're only looking at, not at the example strategy.
Right, so
You're
correct.
is that.
That is what, right, yes.
So it's a little, and Is there a heading to the check? Transportation or?
It is focused on transportation. What you could offer is, I would expect this to include X, Y, and Z. That would be,
Support it if we don't support both. And the strategy, there'll be, this, because the example strategy may not be the best way. I support the top part. I'm not sure.
we're focused on the policies,
Got it. So just throw it.
not the strategy. It's just to help clarify
Got it.
what the policy is. To your point, if you wanted to say, okay, I want to make sure that when you say that, this is what you should be including, and that is what you can provide to us in a comment. And just to, these policies are sort of the guiding, this will guide decisions. So if something comes up, this will help, if there's an opportunity, you want to make sure that you're increasing connectivity between different modes. And by modes, we're talking about walking, biking, cars, ferries, what have you. The next one is transportation and Mystic. Erase traffic congestion, expand multimodal transportation. Oh,
Yeah. Apparently you're yellow.
Yeah. So.
Multimodal transportation and parking options, in Mystic area, and support tourism, economic development, and quality of life.
Chris, if it's helpful, it's questions, so chapter 4, it's called a place built on land. Like, if you want, I can read the goal statement, so it gives them like kind of overarching.
That would be great. Thanks,
The
Steve.
goal statement is to develop and maintain resilient, efficient, and environmentally responsibly health systems that support Chapter 2 in terms of sustainability policy, Chapter 3. The town will invest in resilient and connected roadways, modern and accessible community facilities, reliable and climate resilient infrastructure that transition to clean, renewable energy and activities and benefits of street culture that really brings together. That helps Chapter 6.
Yeah, that would have been.
Thank you. I'll start the next chapter, and maybe Dave, you could read the goal for the next one. We could do the next one. Is it helpful if I read the example strategy? I know you have it you've had it in front of you. So this one is work with starting to create creative solutions to facilitate movement of tourists and residents between destinations on both sides of the river and to reduce vehicle congestion. This could include bike share program, trolley service, water taxi, coordination of signage systems. And then this last policy is related to community facilities, utilities, and energy. Foster sustainable, resilient, and adaptable infrastructure, ensure uninterrupted access to essential services. So this example is invest in energy efficiency and renewable energy for town buildings, facilities, and vehicles. So it's more of a municipal infrastructure focus. Everyone's anxious to get up and vote. So I'm gonna put this back up here. And I'm happy to take notes if you wanna, or if you wanna discuss anything, Heather, we have 10 minutes.
One
before the next, but please feel free.
The policy for community services ensure adequate and equitable.
And offer.
If you don't support that, would
Yes, please get up. Who will be the first? I would just say just be very the easels are.
Not robust.
Yeah, we've got the, I like to call them the giraffe.
Again, we'll have lots of time to talk about specific strategies as well. And certainly, like people are like, yeah, it's like totally support this.
Oh, you mean, no, I don't have anything, but that's okay. Yes, it's just.
With a lot of more close to their stickers, and let us know what you think about this first. Oh, man. Nice.
Oh, yeah, you can share. Someone can share some,
Lots of fun.
oh, thanks.
Thanks.
The world of planners, dots and Post-its.
Can't see yellow from here.
Yellow, that neutral color.
Yeah, it's gonna fade.
Taking advantage
What
of.
are we gonna do? I'll check.
So you'll stay here and we will, after, we finish the first two chapters, we're gonna switch.
Any questions or want to offer any?
You can just, there's comments about why it's not supported, that would help you know where to send things.
Yep, let's definitely need that. So far, I'm like,
What's the bottom?
yeah, the vague.
Yeah, but, you know, my action plan.
Oh, that,
To the right.
see, I see the hot pink. What, I mean, you didn't vote to not support it.
Well, that's kind of the vague.
Sure, what kind of more information would you like to hear?
Well, you know, I read the town wanted to have an opportunity for the.
And yeah, to a certain extent.
So I think it should be
On an applied.
more specific.
This is your.
And the other thing is that I've noticed, I'll give you an example. Like, because I'm right next to the high school.
Mhm.
When I drive out there, buses are either no children on it, 10% of the children. So part of our question is, we tend to get zeroed in on public transportation. When basically, it might even be cheaper if we gave everybody a Uber pass. It'd probably be cheaper for the town. About
So the-
people actually using the public transportation.
So the school,
Just a thought.
okay, so school buses is a different issue. It's not public
This is
transportation,
an
but
example of public versus some other mechanism in remote transportation
sure,
that doesn't
Sure.
rely on adding more bus routes, which I'm not sure.
Buses.
Again, you,
I'm the seat representative, so that's what we're discussing, that very thing, the micro, subsidizing Uber versus. putting
yeah, I mean, we now have more options than we ever had.
Sure.
At some point, we get self-driving cars, it'd be automatic,
But I
but
think one of the very important points here is that if,
I'm listening.
is that at seat, we're putting fixed stops in right now. And we're putting, some structures in.
Yep.
For people to stand on. So it's important for you to coordinate the fixed stops into this POCD so that wherever that bus does stop, there's you can, it was bike lanes and trails, you're kind of connected to those things. So
Right,
there needs to be a discussion between the council of governments, seat at this time, right now, to make sure that you're doing all you can to synchronize with this. So the bus stops here and then you don't have to walk, a mile to get to the trailer.
I mean, that's part of it. You hear all these complaints about district where it doesn't have to walk. Well, we're not that big
Yeah.
geography. So promoting a stop
Yep.
at a trailhead.
Yep.
Right? To me, could benefit, a number of things.
I agree, and this is the time because we're doing that.
Right.
on seat.
right. So, and
Good communication.
right, so all modes, that could be a trail network that's also used as a transportation mode, for sure.
Right.
How you get to someplace, you might use a trail to get there. But to your point, if there's an opportunity to connect different modes, I think trails could be an opportunity. Is, people walking, could be a big connection if it's at the park or what have you. In a certain mode.
How do you control? Most of the areas aren't near. They're open space, but they're not near it. Like,
Network is there, but it's something to think about. If there's a right of way to acquire that could build that connection. Yep. So making sure you're coordinating with those who stop, but also in a bigger picture. And I think that could fall.
Ties where and what you want to, what are places that need to be prioritized for interconnection and how you're gonna go about it. Yeah, it's very big. It's hard to Yeah.
A lot of the points.
Explicitly intended to be vague.
I think you do want some overarching policy. And then the strategy, I think what we're starting to flesh out here are some strategies that could potentially go under that.
So what?
Hearing. But I think you want your policy somewhat vague, because you want it to be flexible, you want it to guide decisions, if you have multiple opportunities that come up. But perhaps there could be some more specificity in that particular one. So we can take that back and sort of workshop it with Bowman and, with the transportation consultant.
Move it into Mystic.
Sure.
Right, so I would say, might be a little controversial, but get a little more aggressive in the specific recommendation. We are trying to locate an area for a parking structure, trying to relocate, come up with fee-based time slot management parking solutions. I think it is way too vague. Obviously, we all want them. That's super important. I don't think very many people would be against that, but we need the solutions. Are we talking about parking structures? Are we talking, you know what I mean? If something in the P O C D can direct the attention to a type of solution, it's gonna give the next decade of leaders a little something to lean on. Otherwise, it's,
Hyper parking.
yeah.
You got this congested area.
Yeah.
Not gonna create any demand.
Yeah.
You only have a couple options.
Maybe you could add like a very specific metric, like number of parking spaces available.
Other solution there is you can ease some church places in off-peak areas, you can put shuttles in. But the point being is some of that verbiage should be in the P O C D.
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe reduce that for that, and then it's not forcing people to shut them and giving.
I'm sorry, Alex mentioned a metric, which is a good measure of success, number of spaces.
Or like a percentage of like, we want to increase available parking by like 20%.
So some examples of that. I think it's a good way to measure success of a plan.
Well, it's easier to delegate over like the decade, say like, this year we added. There is that.
Yeah, go ahead. So my suggestions were for this category. And thinking about how the first thought was to be able to have something tangible with some metrics. Analyze like traffic. The idea of, let's just say, a shuttle bus. Would local hotels be interested in being a stop? Would they buy in, like Marriott, the Sheraton, as a way to have a bus? Thresholds for charging, collaborating with the town. So kind of figuring out that is, like, for example, there's a church in downtown Mystic that rents their space to nonprofits. Yep. And how many would be available? Utilizing vacant land spaces that we have as being like shuttle or bus hubs and utilizing them. So having some like metrics, whether it comes from like actual traffic patterns or saying, these are construction projects that are coming and road blockage that we know of, that we're working to work on. These are businesses in the community that would have this space like hotels that would host a stop, whether it's the Seaport, these different.
The strategies we'll have.
The town stone, all these different things. And I think that kind of gives us a framework of what we can do. Right, so evaluating sort of what's feasible, and also understanding how it would be managed. Is it a municipal shuttle? Is it a private organization? So those are sort of things that aren't necessarily gonna be stated in the P O C D, but they sort of set the stage to do that evaluation.
Maybe we'll put in there is the municipality is committed to public-private partnerships that open up the availability for parking spaces, right? That is directions to planning and zoning, and we're looking at it, going in or whatever, that should be discussed. If, these are,
Spaces
Yeah, like it should be available to
Right.
allow this for off hours and things. This gives us toe into this conversation.
Right. Yep, and yeah, we're going to do public-private partnerships. for a lot of the things that.
National thumbnails, or rules of thumb, but we decided we agree with that, we want to change it.
And I'm just gonna
To this point, we're talking very.
go to the last one, so we can move on to the next board. And that one is about, sustainability, so also. So like adaptive infrastructure. So the example here was about energy efficiency of buildings. Any comments on that one, but
So is it an assumption that all of the facilities will be evaluated or? I mean,
I don't know if you can, is,
Yeah,
so,
town facilities.
right,
Yeah.
and I'm assuming like pump stations in the floodplain
Yep.
are gonna be evaluated and,
And some of that stuff has already been started, but it's,
Right.
so there's some crossover here with what you'll see on Thursday, which is somewhat the launch of the climate action.
Right.
So, yeah.
so, and is it safe to assume then too that things will be evaluated, then prioritized and then made into a plan, but not, you're not gonna include it in the P O C? The policy is an overarching. Okay.
Could you put a minute in there for what is fast uninterrupted access to essential services? Quickly, the police can respond. Some metrics are helpful because then again, like I said, the boards and commissions can look at policies that are proposals in front of them and say, is this going to impact that, traffic study or?
so I will say, so for something like like the public safety, some of those metrics already exist and they operate and develop and they review based on those for sure.
Can we put
Oh, this is, oh, yeah.
this category? I don't know how to do it. I don't know what the magic kind of formula
Check it
is
out
in there, but
You know, I have.
where you have metrics that
Good
we're able
local
to
and national level data is diving.
have some sort of.
You wanna add?
So I wasn't sure if I'm going in the right direction, so I was the.
That's okay.
This is like, are we making this more like solar panels? Are I making?
Be.
Right, so like for example, on Pine Point, which is a local K through ninth grade school, hasn't had a single energy bill since 2017 when they installed their own solar panels. Right, that's a huge savings for an entire campus. Are we capitalizing that? You know, what would be the investment for us to do that versus, there's different ways that we can do. That was my first thought, but that was a little bit different direction.
That's okay. I mean, if everyone's interpreting different, that's totally fine because that helps us craft the plan. It helps us understand what may be missing and what's needs to be articulated more.
So specific that you don't know stuff like that.
Right.
So that's why, in real get to the strategy, we need kind of over encompass all standard. Regulations. Yeah, that would all totally.
Appreciate it. All right, I've been given the warning. We should move on. That, I mean, that. You can still come back and put a post-it on it.
And again, I want to make sure everybody realizes this is not your only bite at this apple. We're just trying to get a framework on the policies, some example ideas or strategies. What are we missing? What are we looking at? Because there's going to be a lot more focus, ability to talk about this document when it's fully drafted out. There's going to be a lot more public outreach. So I don't want you to think this is your only turn.
It's hard to not go down a rabbit hole sometimes. Okay, chapter 5, you guys have this in front of you, so I'll leave it over.
I'll get first. Read the.
Oh, yes, that's right, yeah.
This chapter 5 is a place we celebrate and enjoy living together. Foster a vibrant, connected community where residents and visitors can celebrate and enjoy life together through access to high quality parks and recreational opportunities, cultural and historic resources, the arts, civic spaces, neighborhoods, and diverse entertainment. And support inclusive intergenerational experience and the town's unique identity, including the enable heritage, strengthen pride, and enhance overall well-being.
Okay.
Third chapter said something like.
Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, whole time. I love.
Safe, accessible community program, similar to what. Disabilities. Example strategy is to evaluate, increase, and improve civic recreation in all neighborhoods.
Full support.
It's referencing the 2023 parks and recreation management master plan.
Yes, what it is.
The next
I don't know what-
policy is related to historical and cultural and capacity to protect.
That's a strategy. No, I'm just, I just don't know what.
And the example of that is.
Conversation and.
Last communicate the impacts of climate. The next one is about civic spaces, make sure that public spaces are buffer zones for all visitors. Strategies about universal design concept, which is standards as a policy for future investments, only in public spaces. And then the last one, related to civic and revenue organization in the Navy, so be an active partnership to Navy development programs that can do opportunities for both civilians and Navy personnel.
I still know that comes
And
across.
the example strategy is to promote and create
I
better.
gotta say, those are the words I.
Civic
have to change. I don't know, that's what I said, I don't know what.
Social cohesion.
I don't have a.
So,
Yes.
so
Doesn't.
here's my question. Is there an area in the PUCD that we talk about with diversity of economic development? Like right now, where there's a
Those
lot of.
boards are with my friend.
Because people talk about, we have too many car washes.
Some of those boards here, I don't have, I know, you're stuck with these boards right now. So, so if you want to do your dots and turn
Support the idea. Okay, it's just the wording, right, great.
out,
Oh, my gosh, yes, pizza, eats.
engagement, yeah, Jeff has the economic development. I know.
You miss out.
Not your
It's
stuff.
like, that's your board.
I know, I
It's
understand.
fine.
Yeah, if everybody didn't already grab a snack, please do. There's food over on the table there. It'll keep the creative energy going. Yep.
Sugar, I had one.
Policy, yeah. Okay.
So time checks on this one.
Well, program steward all of the town property. There's a lot of. We're gonna be stewarding, they're not gonna be steward them. in the same way.
Did go long on that first board. I think we're gonna switch that.
Even if the program is just mow it. the whole thing. Because the program.
Yeah.
And you stewardship.
It's like
of
more of
money.
a- It feels like a core responsibility of the town. I don't know why we would be like, that's what it's not like the.
So what exactly do we want the programs to steward our town property? Are we trying to get to economize them? Or they're developing?
A big challenge is it's hard to not talk about some of these issues without some of individually, like it's hard to talk about transportation without talking about economic or other types of land uses or housing. And we hope to make sure that we bring those together when we write the plan.
Yeah, you're right, they're very different for everything, but we need to be more specific than this.
Yeah.
Right, because again, that's the thing that's wrong, they're like, yeah, of course. Why do we?
Sure. So that can be a way to go about doing things.
So this came out of, in 2016, it was stewardship plans for all the open space. Okay. Thank you.
Everyone's interpretation is like, yes, right.
There are updates, not necessarily open space, but also a little bit of.
Feedback on these?
I'll start. I'm very passionate about this topic, because I have young children. I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. And one of the biggest struggles that we have sometimes is, trying to figure out what we're gonna do, what after school to supplement their activities, in the community. And, you know, everybody I've seen, like Bruce Flax does such an amazing job with This is Mystic. This, circled around downtown Mystic, and Stone, it's not as much Groton. And I would love for Groton to be more of a place where people can gather. There's a farmer's market in
already have,
the city of Groton.
your policy should be that.
Town of Groton.
What, that,
I think
that
there's
is.
a lot of opportunities, of
That's actually.
using the parks and what we have to be able to host more community events, whether there's farm markets dedicated to children. Because, and part of that is we also have to be mindful of the businesses that are beginning to come into this area and sort of spread. And it's starting to feel like businesses from the outside are looking at Groton with Pfizer and EB as a commuter town or the. And so like one of the suggestions I had is, for example, wherever this comes to, of limiting the amount of vape shops that are in Groton. You know, like that is not geared towards a family community. That doesn't increase the value of the neighborhood. Right, I mean, the car washes are the car washes, but that's like one of, like an elephant in the room. From, I think there's at least 3 or 4 in Groton alone, right? So that's one thought, and the others is just utilizing the resources that we have to do more. Utilizing social media to also communicate what we have going on too. Because there are a lot of things that are happening that we're just not as aware of as well.
Yep, that's great. We actually, if you want to just flag, you're going to talk about communication in the next one too, so we can bring that back up.
Just so you know, to follow up with that, like, that was hard to clear. Everything you just mentioned about like connecting the kids to, you know, just like, all that stuff was actually heard in this chapter. When it comes out, you'll see that was a big part of that. So, you know, as we're looking at the overarching policies right now, the hope is to really focus down and strategy that was here for. That was and that was heard from like more canvassing in communities. Was heard from the surveys, it was heard across the board. That was a real need. So.
Problem is, our community, right?
They are, right?
Right, it's just,
Absolutely.
so, until we
It is all that.
which gets back to housing.
And we're gonna get to that too, so.
Even though it's good is that it's kind of hard to. Yep. Things in place when the people that use it are in another town.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right, I mean, for the people up here, I agree. But
49,000 people that live here that, and yes, you're not. People that are here.
commercial ventures are gonna cater to people spending the money just right now, the commuter.
But I think she's referring to community spaces. I mean, you're talking about economic development and the businesses that are here, but I think you're talking about the community spaces, this last piece that you were mentioning.
Right, yeah, community spaces, and maybe some businesses that are not
Okay.
for the town.
Okay. Yep, and make a note of that next time, but yeah. Other thought? I don't have to elaborate on some of their, so what's missing up, so your farmer's market.
This, well, the thing, the last one with the Navy
Yep,
is, yeah, but imbalance of trade here. Us. And well, and the Navy folks, because costs us more tax dollars than we get. So, you know, how do we get a better balance in terms of, I don't wanna, do we really wanna spend on services for the Navy when we're already underwater, so to speak, in terms of balance of trade? You put air.
too soon, too soon, too soon.
Too soon? Too soon. I mean, it's a tough problem because some legalities, it's just like, there's something we should, I agree with something we should do.
Yeah,
Not sure what.
yep.
And that's a, like, we can do it, but that could be a concern.
Is there any?
Right.
Right.
There could be some type of partnership or collaboration. There's a huge military presence and there's now almost a full elementary school that has mostly Navy kids, Charles Barno, that is still there and we want to cater to.
Oh, and, we have one more.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But the other, so similarly, I know that just from the recreation piece of it, that neighborhood, that's predominantly named, there's recreational facilities there, but they're only for Navy families. So it's really for those that aren't on there needs to be sort of more public, town facility there for those residents.
Thing in the military spouses and others to integrate into the economy better, like help with, I don't know, policies that help them, use licenses from other states to be do here. I don't know whether that's a P O C D function, but I know if you're a registered nurse and your spouse gets transferred and it's difficult to practice here or
Yeah.
some part of that talks about how we can make it easier for them to be a part, to do work and create business.
I know we're sort of venturing off topic, but is like home businesses, is that sort of?
Home businesses, but also licenses. And I know it's difficult if you're licensed in another state and then you move to Connecticut, you're deployed here and then, it's very difficult. Is there something as a community we can build into the P O C D that makes that easier since we are?
Start with that. What are some of the social?
You bring that back up when Jeff
Yeah.
comes over? Okay.
I think on the first one, you need to break it down that we had recognized within the policy.
Right. I think we're gonna move on to the next board. One is chapter 6.
So this is chapter 6. This is a place where we work together to get it done. Going back to a lot of communication. So this is promoting effective, transparent, and accountable action. That's the work. Groton will strengthen communication with public, enhance coordination with department, foster inclusive community engagement, and build a responsive structure that aligns policy, resources, and decision making to the town councils. So.
Yeah,
Implementation and communication, those are kind of the two big things.
within town hall, so to speak. And there's only on this one. There's a couple of example strategies. Come on up.
But
I'm not gonna stop you. Open, provide open and transparent communication and opportunities for community, all levels. So the first one is civic education, makes people understand how to get involved in projects and processes and why their vote matters. The second one is about townwide comprehensive communication strategy for the public about what's going on, kind of how to get involved in local government, ensure that there are clear channels of communication to the public, staff, officials. This strategy about the civics engagement training program for all residents, including those within a represented population. The last one, develop a plan for implementation through establishment of a working group. So that's POCD. Also using a working group. And that was, I think Jeff had mentioned that 2-year check-in. What's this say? Or what, I mean, what do you want to make sure it included?
That doesn't say.
To finish the quote though, right, is the infrastructure that we, or the policies that.
So here we're kind of mixing, right?
Developer and storefront come in.
Yeah, there's mostly, I think, yeah, I know there's only one policy on each, but some different examples. I know, it's hard. Maybe if you wanted to provide a post-it that said, what's in the realm of this, or I also want you to put this.
making it so that someone who knocked down that family that has to rebuild.
I always find it's important to, how decisions are made locally. I think that tends to be the biggest misunderstanding and
Shopping too.
it's still shopping.
See the trends and the needs of Groton go forward. the higher- People want to go.
Sometimes I wonder if we're not. Yeah. I mean, this cycle last year, was a work. Communications that.
But in order to get the meeting, I'm sorry.
Websites and meetings, everything else,
Very, very.
but we still get, and I remember this is that one issue. There were been 2 documentations. People showed up at meetings saying, I've never heard about this before. Sit there and go, where have you been? It's been in every mechanism I can think of. Other than going door to door.
Are you aware of specifically about? There's
a lover of.
Civic involvement.
Responsibility that the citizens have. Find out stuff. So, like I said, what I said is, are we at the point of division return? You can only do so much. And just can't get people to pay attention. It's the backyard.
And
It's.
there's a lot of competition in the airwaves.
So I think it's, you can only control the controllables, right? And you're absolutely right. There has to be a level of civic like engagement. But I think the idea of outreach and connecting people can only do us good. And there's really smart ways that we can do it where the juice will be worth the squeeze. And it's not really that much more that we have to expunge. So an idea off the top of my head, we have some really great schools, say, for example, and social media, like the future of AI, all these things that are happening in the world. These young kids, this next generation knows more about it than like we do. Why not create some type of internship program or sponsorship in the middle school? We have community. Social media, Instagram, having like a group or a chair or a team, because it is a lot of work within the town. That's like, hey, happy Monday. If you, in case you miss the 3 hours, town council meeting.
Our policy is that misuse requires that there.
And some of these things are like, these are the things that you should, these are the things that are happening.
There are.
Then you create interest for people that don't wanna hop on online.
You have to go, right? Think we'll.
But
So, I'm gonna add to, one of the better things that's happened
Was never revival.
came out of it was. Your pet. Cause I know, I don't really like.
Investment in public. But I'll get on the Zoom and kind of fast forward. Maybe, to your point, you could use it
Straight out of a 5-hour marathon session. A nugget of information and push that out. So it's got the information. If your point, how can we channel it out? But I think there's a thought there that we never had the opportunity. I love Zoom.
I love Zoom.
But I think the idea that we was commonality of connection. Connecting the community, right? Zoom is good, but it creates disconnect. And we want people who feel part of it, and maybe they'll have more interest in contributing.
It is incentives. How do you incentivize people?
Right, money,
Food is a great
to
incentive
pay people to come to town.
to the meeting.
Yeah.
Childcare,
Yeah.
bring your kids. What time are we having this meeting? I mean, get creative. I mean, we don't mind this little one here.
Not all. I want him to be the honorary member.
It'll lower our age by about 20.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you all.
Thank you for switching. My God, pretty good shit. We'll make another. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, everyone. We get to start from the back, we're going to the front. Chapter 1. So chapter 1, really the concept here is that we wanted to focus on people. We were out in the public, at the public meetings and so forth. We heard a lot of people, struggling with access to housing, struggling with access to community services, struggling to live without access to their own car, limited access to a car. So this focuses on housing, community services, and basically alternatives to traveling without a car, whether it be transit or walking, bike. So I'll just read these 3 policies and invite you to comment up with the stickers. So for housing, increase the availability and affordability of homes while maintaining overall quality and safety of the housing stock. One of the things we discussed was adding character to the housing that is being built, makes sense in the context being built. Community services, ensure the adequate, equitable, and efficient delivery of community services. And getting around without a car, promote safe and accessible active transportation, including both. So think about that.
One thing that jumped out for housing, homes, it's not necessarily a single family house, it's like a whole mixture. Apartments, condos, single family. I think it's important to clarify. It's the spectrum, because we have so different age group of ways of living.
I can add to that. So Jeff, what we did before we, this is chapter 1. So I've been reading what we're calling the chapter and just the goal statement, so they kind of know what it is. So chapter 1 is a place where everyone can thrive. So Bob, back to your point, you'll hear in a second. So ensure that all Groton residents, families, individuals, seniors, military households have access to safe and affordable housing, essential community services, reliable, equitable transportation. The town will support inclusive growth by promoting diverse housing options. So there's the point that you were making, strengthening access to health, education, and social services, and improving transportation connections. Great stuff.
So I do apologize. I know that without the context of what comes before in the chapter.
Yeah, these all sound the same.
Yes, please come on up with your stickers.
Very good.
So one of the, so I kind of said, yes, credit things, but,
Yeah, yep.
one of the things that I could not find in the town was that there's a conservation of communities,
All right.
which is not the big, not 1 acre, 6 acre lot. Not even parts, but something that has a combination of both. So there's no incentive that I know of. Conservation development down.
We do have open space. So
Yep.
that's one way.
It's more of trying to set aside land versus developing,
An example that.
an area that has both together,
Working on.
different density with associated spaces.
That does.
I couldn't find anything when I moved here, so I didn't find it.
Pardon me, sorry.
To add to that, is there a way to select in the P O C D that we like density and not sprawl?
Yes, absolutely.
So maybe we can lean on that a little bit. If we're gonna promote infill development and density and rather than subdivisions and.
Economically, doesn't help the town.
That's also, we're allowed to pick in the P O C D that we prefer a community
Yes,
that has.
and I would say that's certainly.
And that's been your longstanding policy, and I think that's going to continue to be the plan.
Comment, because I do not support it. There's one down, not the whole dot.
Oh, there was one person who was just like already getting into the details of the strategies and being concerned about what that would. And again, we're trying to encourage people. We'll get to the strategies, but are you generally comfortable with this policy statement?
Yeah, well, as I said, I was reading it.
Yeah.
The other question I had was, reconstruction.
Yes.
We don't really have, our zoning doesn't own it, and we don't get it. And then, you know, and I know it costs a little bit more.
That would be like taxes. There is something for in terms of. This take advantage. Then you get the best.
One aspect of it, I know it is. Okay. That's, I'm just,
Again, it's not that, that's more.
Structure.
you're looking at zero carbon emission things, so it's insulation, it's space, it's type of heating you use.
And again, that's not really what we would do in zoning things, that's more like building code kind of stuff.
I understand that, so P O C D is supposed to favor a certain direction, but so we get the sustainability and everything else, should be looking in that direction.
Yeah, and there's certainly,
That's kind of pretty broad. So that's gonna come in, it's coming from a different.
yes.
I have support the first one and I am on the board of a non.
Yep.
And a couple weeks ago, the capital heard about the annual Alex report.
Oh, yeah.
And so.
You make a friend?
50% Connecticut families are under the minimum. And when I was talking to Trisha, and kind of, right now are able to make it by what they're thinking trend, is they are. You see a lot of people coming together. It's the only way to pay for things. So the idea of being able to go into a direction where they'll do sustainability and stand on that property in a good way, right? That makes the most sense, I think, is the direction that people are going to be able to make it work right now in this current state. This is more like a comment and.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What's already happening and.
I just add to the accessibility. That includes to the open space we have.
Sure, yeah.
We need to make sure that if we're gonna have density, that people can get to the parks and the areas that it's sense to enjoy it. It's, you know, whether that's public transport or new trails or other things. You said before, the seat stop near an area where you have a bike rack on the front of it, you can. I know the Navy, they're on the other side of town and they have a hard time with some of the Navy guys getting to those areas, so they'll.
Absolutely.
Discussion, so.
Specificity and Larry, to your point about conservation and development working together, it's the college alley where the market can help offset the cost of the parks, that person out on the town. So that's essentially what you're getting at, having those two.
Well, I mean, usually it's 30-40% open space, the density. And it's more almost like condos. Plus, not high rises, not any sort of dwelling. It's down to affordability. It's got to, when people put close together, it's easier for them to support each other. You know, so.
Dave, do you have that goal statement for, thank you so much. So, chapter 2 is our natural resources conservation open space.
All right, chapter 2 is place where we can conserve and steward our land for the future. Protect and enhance Groton natural resources, including coastal and inland waters, forests, farms, and trails. Preserve ecological integrity, support climate resilience, maintain the town's environmental heritage for current and future generations. Town will promote responsible land use, strengthen open space and watershed protection, and expand access to natural areas.
I'm gonna shock you. I support it.
Oh, Gary, that's.
I know. You didn't expect it.
Yeah. So our policies to develop programs to steward all the town property, stewardship, major theme,
Relates to natural environment. And then regulations and policies should reduce impacts to the natural environment, restore and enhance the town's resources.
the one thing I would.
So, I mean, yeah, for restating everything is that we're at about 30%, right? Which is decent. So acquisition of more stuff, be very opportunistic, something wonderful came up. That's not the conservation commission, that's not our focus. Our focus is protect the land we have, not the big. That's the whole land we have.
Yeah.
Right, managing trails, et cetera. So
There's not.
but the thing is that what happens is that takes over, and it actually reduces carbon sequestration that the trees will kind of self-defeating if we don't get rid of that stuff. I mean, we're the wrong way. But anyway, but stewardship.
Absolutely. Yep.
No, it's important because I think sustainability means different things.
Means, John, funding,
So I'm.
funding.
That's all it comes down to.
The little paragraph in chapter 6 about funding.
I saw that. I saw that. You got kudos.
Oh,
I just disagree.
Okay.
right, and again, I know it's kind of like, oh, come on, but like, the policy should be a little hard to disagree with. Then we'll get down to the strategies, might be some fights, right? But any other thoughts on this one? Seems like that, or
I don't know if there's a strategy. I don't know if this is functional or we've done it before, but like maybe garden spaces. I mean,
We do have community garden space in the Noanks school
yeah,
area.
but maybe a larger.
No, I'm just saying that one, she's vital. Lots of things, expanding that concept.
Yeah, in different areas of the town.
sure.
Of course, you know, we have rocks everywhere.
Well, it's New England, yes.
It's New England. It's tough to find.
It's bad, it's bad.
It's bad, I know it's bad. Raised gardens. Raised gardens, yes. Raised bed.
I finally gave in and did that this year. World of difference.
Yeah, but yes, you always have to do that. But accessibility, well, accessibility has two flavors. One is, accessible to the folks that have disabilities.
Yes.
It's something that we really, other than maybe Cobb, we keep kind of the path up,
Yeah.
kind of sort of, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's, should the town invest in all-terrain wheelchairs? That one could sign up for example.
Well, it's funny you say that because actually that is what they're doing. So several things. One is an all-terrain wheelchair.
Yep.
So that's coming. It may already be here. I think they purchased it. I just don't think it's set up yet. And then they're also working on basically what's it called? I can't remember. This is that Mark will work on. So basically a blind or hard hearing or whatnot that they have a section of the course that you can actually get basically get headphones and actually it'll teach you around like these.
How to get around.
Oh, neat.
There's just as someone with hearing aids, there's also new technology now where like at airports, it's a standard that they broadcast that it automatically your hearing aids can pick up on that. So that could be something.
Wow.
In meetings like this.
Yep.
As well, for boards and commission meetings and town council meetings, because it's an issue for older people as well. It's not just hearing impaired. And if the acoustics are bad in an area, but it's a standard technology for broadcast that you go in and it's like Bluetooth, and then they have it for airports where you hear your flight being called and it pipes it right in. So, you know, those kind of factors will make a huge difference.
Well, Larry, to your point, even though it's happening, yeah, it's gonna happen in other places. They're trying it out of COP first.
I'm saying it's a good pilot program
Yeah.
because to me, that's probably cheaper than trying to manufacture
yes.
a whole trail system.
Yep, exactly.
You know, so it's, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. In fact, with this other transportation, same theory is rather than having these big massive investments in buses, expensive, you know, make it more personalized. That's a personalized access.
Thank you for hanging in there. We're on your last chapter. Chapter 3, which is more about chapter 2 is natural resources and conservation. Chapter 3 is more about land use development and economic development. Take it away, Dave.
So chapter 3 is a place where we grow responsibly to meet our needs. It's about promoting sustainable land use and economic development that strengthens Groton's tax base, supports local businesses, and enhances community character. Now we'll encourage the redevelopment of underutilized and derelict commercial areas, foster mixed use, infill development, and a variety of housing. So back to that variety of housing again, in appropriate locations, and support innovation, clean industries, and job.
Support all that stuff.
So we have a few more policies for this one, some of the other chapters. So land the downtown corridor to create a walkable area that and public spaces. And so when we're talking about downtown corridor, we're primarily talking about the
Downtown Groton?
the mixed use town center. So
Yeah, the downtown corridor. What exactly do you think?
So again, what we're thinking here is the mixed use town center zoning district for all this.
Where is that?
That is around the big Y.
Yeah. It's right behind it.
Yeah.
Kind of not really, but the intent is.
The intent is yes. Take some time.
Plan to redevelop institutional properties that no longer serve the community to address the wants and needs of surrounding neighborhoods and the town as a whole. So this is somewhat getting into the redevelopment and reuse issue that we were talking about earlier. Encourage development areas served by public utilities. And the converse of that is to discourage development where we don't have those utilities. For economic development, promote economic resilience by expanding and diversifying Groton's economic base beyond its major employers. And then finally, promote the revitalization of commercial corridors along Route 12 and Route 184 to improve walkability to residential areas and to limit negative impacts of commercial development on residential. So, do you have a thought to that?
This would be the area I had mentioned in the other meeting related to the Navy.
Yep.
Of helping to, Navy spouses and others get jobs quicker here by, accepting out-of-state licenses for like nurses and other things, like if someone's a beautician or a nurse's aide, their spouse is transferred here to the sub base.
Yeah.
It takes a long time for them to get job necessarily, or, and Taya brought up also with their kids and getting involved in the community. So we need to, part of economic development would be to utilize that social aspect, but also, great workers and have great skills, or kind of somehow mainstream them quicker into our community. So it's not just, an island off in the corner over there. So, yeah, those issues are a little more complex, and some of it's legislative. It should be part of the P O C D that they are, an important part of our community, and having them be able to participate more will develop the economy.
In front of Thomas Garden, they're on Line Drive. They have lots of, but not in the town.
Check, is this your last one?
This one.
Okay.
Yeah. Go forward, Dave. I'll get that go forward, Dave.
I think we're. Like.
I said it's work.
You're shy all of a sudden?
You guys didn't put dots up? They already put dots up or no?
No, no one's put dots up. That was these guys.
I know, exactly.
We should have red dots for this group.
I would think so.
Red dots for this font.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So get your dots up quick and then.
No, we didn't want to
cause
Any strife.
tension. All the same color dots.
The yellow team versus the red team.
You did them off my finger.
Our cultural and historic keep.
Spotter.
So.
The older buildings,
Yep.
I think that's fun.
Yeah, sure, that's a great reuse.
This one, I guess, for beyond the major.
Yep.
People need that, which is also a goal.
Yes, yeah.
So having space, like for them to try out ideas. For facilities and then.
This could be a little, I don't want to use the word AI specifically, because it be dated, but integrate new technologies that. Into.
This way actually is the least vague of all of them. Several policies and.
Federal government.
This is also. This movement is huge.
Do you want to go?
No, I'm just digesting.
Okay.
I'm here to disagree. That was a vegan.
So any other thoughts for here that you wanted to share with the group?
I was curious, actually, well, on the last box, from the previous group, that did not, what the feedback was.
Yeah, I think there was a concern, we had this conversation around nodes. There was a concern that, so I mean, what we see here, the commercial corridors, we are specifically talking about the areas that are currently commercially zoned, which are in nodes throughout the corridor. But there was a concern that might mean the entire corridor sprawls out, and, you know, so we had to specify, no, we're talking about commercial corridors, we're talking about those nodes that exist, not expanding that, and certainly not promoting sprawl. That was a major concern.
Oh, I was, so I was just asking, where would, so for example, like, agro-tourism. Would that have like land use?
That's a good question. So that's one of those that sort of covers a whole bunch of things. So one, it's because you have to make sure that you are providing the space and allowing agricultural uses. You also have to make sure that your zoning allows for farms to host parties or events or educational opportunities, you know, that they oftentimes in communities you can farm, but you're not allowed to have these events might bring people in and parking and so on. So that's absolutely a land use issue, partly an economic development issue as well, for sure. And you know, both related to tourism and jobs. So that's one that could or span, but I think it would definitely land in chapter 3.
That is something we've been talking about. How to make
That's something that having tracking site from the meeting, so we can tell those. Hey, you want to sell over here, 3 floors, that's your max. Time, is that gonna fit your ROI, is it something that?
And that's kind of like a.
Okay.
From strategy or when I'm having from that to like revise something like that. That's a really specific one, a bit more, a little bit broader that we can. But.
Yeah, I mean, right now, you have a handful of farms and it's dwindling. I mean, just the agriculture in the town is struggling.
Like it exists, it's just undefined. So like this week, like kids, we went to Hometown Farm, and then there was a flower farm in Stonington that opened up to pick and cut.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's pop-up shops of sourdough breads being sold and like tables, farmers, little farm stands, which is like what I love about the community.
Yeah.
You know, there's various of the flavors of it, and maybe there's not magic one for all.
Oh, no magic wand for that one, but
One's kind of like home-based business. They actually just- Like, and that's how it is. But yeah, I think there can be flexibility and allowing that kind of opportunity.
Maybe feelings feel very edgy.
So one of the things maybe we can put in there, economic development portion, if you wanna,
Great, so we're looking for more opportunities.
Um,
Great.
reduce or keep low any burden to new businesses here coming in. Cost, incentivize, so, whether it's legislative or otherwise. I'll give you an example. So I registered a DBA and 2 days later, I got a letter from the tax assessor wanting me to file all the property they own, and I did it because I'm writing and I'm allowed to do that, but it's a little aggressive, right? I mean, what I mean? All of a sudden, the first person that says hello, to that, those kind of things do resonate, and it's kind of daunting, especially I'm a business person. I knew how to, but someone who's starting up, that gives you a panic attack. Sure. I'm like, now I started a business and now they want my money. Like, I don't want to do this, right? It is an important thing, especially with small businesses, when you're trying to get people to take a risk and get involved, and they, are starting that process. We need to be.
One letter first before that.
Ombudsperson, see that a lot of communities, somebody can walk people through the process. 6:30. John, will be, okay.
32, so.
It's 31. All right. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate this. This will help us and staff refine the policies. And again, very soon, staff is reviewing those chapter summaries. So hopefully that will give you more context, that you see what the narrative is going to include, what we expect some of the strategies to be. And it's always easier to comment when you know what the full context is.
We wanna, all right,
It's 6:30. Yeah.
Okay, we did get to the last
Okay.
part. Yeah. That was implementation, and you all have it.
So what happens from here?
Yep.
Thank you.
I think we're.
I know we went over.
There's a question of what happened.
Yes.
and just give everybody a quick, what's next? What happened?
Just to reiterate, thank you again, everyone, for wrap up.
I was just gonna say, it's not our, Jonathan is, oh, you're gonna say it again, I'll let you say it.
This is not our last bite at the apple on this. We're still early, like mid-process now, but
Early, we're mid-process.
Mid-process.
Yeah, and as I said, staff is currently reviewing full chapter summaries, and we hope to be releasing that publicly soon. And so that will give you that context of what's going to be in the narrative, a full list of strategies to review, and you get to see them for all the chapters, so you can see them in context, where we've got those spotlights on resiliency and how that's tying to the whole plan. The PCC is going to continue to have monthly meetings where they review sections of the plan from now through January. And we are hoping to have another open house. We had an open house in May. We'll have another open house in November to review all of this content. Hopefully come back in January, take a final look at the implementation, and hope to have something ready for the community review by the spring, early spring.
Yeah.
Is that state deadline is fast approaching.
And, a lot of meetings coming up. So this week, we also have our kickoff for our Climate Ready Groton plan, but also on POCD kind of adjacent topics. Last week, our Planning and Zoning Commission had a really good meeting about housing. So if you're interested in that topic, it was a 1.5 hour presentation discussion by national experts looking at some Groton data and national and how the two are working hand in hand. And then next week on Tuesday, we will also be doing a little bit of a deep dive, looking back at the 2021 and the 2023 housing market analyses. Commission had some questions about some of the assumptions and how those analyses were put together. Consultant Camoin is working on an update to that currently. They'll talk a little bit about some of the demographics, what's happening now. And I think sometime in October, we'll be presenting the update to the 2025 one, but we really wanted to give people one last kind of bite at the apple of understanding how those older studies were done and what to them when we're looking at housing. So I think with that, I don't know if Sue is still on, or if somebody wants to adjourn this meeting, the tri-commission meeting, maybe a chair or two.
We go.
All right, all.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, there you go. All right, Sue, thanks.
Yeah, I'm here. I survived. Yeah, I
Okay,
said, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
all right,
So let's
all
adjourn.
right.
Thank you very
All
much,
right.
everybody.
Thank you.